The CDC has released new information about how the coronavirus affects children. The majority of them are likely to have a mild to moderate symptoms, but a very small percentage have severe complications. The report looked at nearly 150,000 cases of coronavirus from February to April in the United States. Almost 2% were children, and of those children, 1 in 5 were hospitalized. My next guest is a parent and also a doctor who followed every possible precaution, but coronavirus still put her 4-year-old son, Lincoln, in the hospital. She wrote about it for the Denver Post. Joining me now, Dr. Anna Zimmerman. She specializes in treating premature and sick newborn infants. Dr. Zimmerman, first, I just want to thank you for telling your story to help people understand what this really looks like. How's your son doing?
Thank you. He is doing just great. So we are at home now, and he is still on oxygen, but he's getting more energy every day and starting to be more of himself.
Can you help us understand the position, what you do as a doctor and all of the precautions that you take? Because there's a false narrative out there that people who get really sick, well, they were already in bad shape. And we know that's not the case. Educate us.
Yeah, that's part of why I wrote this post. As a physician, we really started taking precautions early. We pulled our kids out of activities. I wouldn't let them go on play dates. I wouldn't let them go to the playground down the street. And still, Lincoln ended up getting sick. I can think of a million ways he could have gotten it, but I don't actually know where that exposure came from. But we sanitized all our products coming into the house. We did all the stay-at-home type of things before they even ordered stay-at-home orders.
As a parent, help us understand what we should be doing, because many of us at home think we're taking every precaution, but maybe we're not.
You know, I think that generally speaking, if you are staying at home and you are avoiding play dates and you are being careful about how you go out to the grocery store and what you bring back into your house, you really are taking the appropriate response and doing the appropriate precautions. But even that might not be enough. And that's part of why I wrote this story, is that we did all of those things and he still got sick. And because the narrative out there is kids aren't getting this virus, kids aren't getting sick from this virus, it really took me a while to think, oh, hey, this could be coronavirus. Because I just thought, oh, it's allergies, or oh, it's a different virus. It wasn't until he was rapidly getting sick that it really kind of struck to me that, oh, this could be coronavirus. We really should go into the hospital. And I think parents should listen to their gut. And if their kids are getting worse or they feel like they're getting worse quickly, they should go in early.
Okay, but that's what struck me. When I read your piece, you seemed to know, and I know you're a doctor, but you seemed to know what to do when your son started feeling sick, like bringing an overnight bag to the hospital. So many of us right now are looking for every little sign, and we've become panicked alarmists. What do we need to look for?
So I think for him, the biggest things were the way he was breathing. He was breathing really fast. I could see all of the muscles in his chest were working, and he was just really, really tired. He wouldn't wake up. He didn't want to eat. So those are the things that parents can specifically look for at home. If you have a fever and it comes down with Tylenol and they're perky and they're eating and they can stay hydrated, they're probably okay at home. But if you're bringing that fever down and they're still breathing really fast and they're still really tired and they still don't want to eat, then you've got something more going on, and those are going to be your signs that you need to be seen.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.